Augmented reality has been touted as the future of the surgery, whether for planning interventions or training to become a surgeon. However, its contribution to distributed collaboration has not yet been articulated. My name is Sophie Maria. In this video, I will show you how augmented reality and mounted displays can support collaborative discussions in surgical teleconsulting. Surgeons regularly consult with experts from different specialties when they face difficulties during an operation. For example, a surgeon can benefit from a radiologist's advice and conduct a joint in a real-time analysis of a pre-operative image, such as a magnetic resonance image or MRI, to find a lesion on the patient and to guide them in the resection. When the expert is not present in the room, surgeons turn to teleconsulting, which can take place over a video call where the remote expert presents an MRI in one of the displays available in the operating room. This use of a classic video conferencing system for surgical work has two challenges. First, the information is presented outside the operative field, forcing the surgical team to reconfigure spatially, as looking at the monitor requires direct line of sight, and interacting with the image requires either walking over and handling non-sterile equipment, or deictic system interaction, thus shifting the attention of another team member. The second challenge relates to these systems being single-user input tools, where only the remote expert can virtually point and annotate. This limitation can lead to imbalanced communication and reduced participation of novices receiving instruction. We address these two challenges through augmented reality and mounted displays. As one, they provide the ability to position images freely, and two, they provide the ability to produce virtual annotations, thus accomplishing dual-user input tools. But what are the impacts of these new tools on collaborative work during surgical teleconsultation? To investigate this, we conducted a controlled study in a simulated operating room. We recruited 12 expert surgeons in gynecology, and we tasked participants with conducting a teleconsultation session while performing surgery, while a surgeon has trouble identifying a non-visible and non-palpable structure, calling an expert radiologist through a Microsoft Lens 2. The remote radiologist was a confederate who communicated according to a pre-established script. We investigated two variables, the type of display, either fixed or mobile, and the annotation tool, either single-user or dual-user. In total, we tested three conditions. The first is fixed display with a single-user annotation tool. Here, the confederate presents the pre-operative image on a display at a fixed position, where only the remote confederate can make annotations. The second condition is mobile display with a single-user annotation tool. Here, the participant can reposition the display, and still only the confederate can annotate. The third condition is mobile display with a dual-user annotation tool. Here, on top of being able to relocate the display, the participant can also produce virtual annotations. In each condition, participants engage in 3 breast surgery scenarios and 3 abdominopelvic surgery scenarios. We now present the results relating to each research question along with their discussion. Let's start with the first research question, regarding the ability to reposition the screen. The analysis of task completion time did not yield significant differences. We then analyzed communication balance and purpose. We coded turns using the video recording to perform a turn-taking analysis, which reflects balance of communication. This analysis did not yield significant differences in either turn frequency, turn duration, nor turn distribution. For understanding communication purpose, we coded the contents of utterances using a dialogue act coding scheme. This scheme distinguishes between acts such as querying for new information, replying to the query, clarifying information already presented, or managing the other person through instructions, among other acts. The analysis shows that being able to reposition images leads to a significant decrease in the need for clarifications. For example, asking the radiologist to clarify the meaning of what they are saying, given the image they are presenting. Also, we observe a significant increase in the amount of management of the remote experts, such as asking them to further navigate through the layers of the MRI image. Recording the use of the secondary display, we did not observe differences in the amount of spontaneous interaction. We did observe, however, that these interactions occurred at different times. In the mobile display condition, participants placed the view comfortably at the beginning of the task, enabling them to stay at the place of work. In contrast, a fixed display forced participants to move back and forth through the tasks when they need to access information. Lastly, participants agreed that repositioning images is both helpful for transmitting information and useful for performing the surgical intervention. With these results in mind, let's take a step back and discuss their meaning. The observed reduction in clarification needs can be attributed to the least collaborative effort principle. When the image is distant, participants compensated for the cost of traveling by waiting to accumulate information needs before walking to the fixed display. Then, before returning to the patient, they repeatedly ensure that their understanding is effective through clarification. Similarly, the increase in management comes from a better ability to make individual contributions on how the remote image is presented, given that it was easily accessible. These two communicative benefits resulted in the observed redefinition in the timing of interaction. Although existing means such as selling-mounted displays could in principle achieve similar benefits, the constant changing needs in surgery require frequent manual repositioning, which come in a conflict with sterility. Let's now move to our second research question, the influence of dual gesturing tools. We do not observe significant effects with respect to time, communication balance, nor purpose. However, we observe effects in the use of deictic referencing for communication. After coding actions that support deictic communication, including the use of a physical finger, a virtual pointer, and virtual annotations, we see that access to a virtual annotations leads to a significant increase in the use of nonverbal communication. Interestingly, annotations are used mostly in service of clarifications, and they increase the total amounts of nonverbal actions rather than replacing pointing action in the single-user tool condition. To our surprise, participants expressed that being able to annotate was not particularly helpful for transmitting information, nor for performing the surgical intervention, especially when contrasted with the high rating they assign to the remote expert ability to annotate, and their own ability to point virtually. Taking a step back, we note that the impacts of dual-user input tools are less straightforward. Notably, we did not observe the improvements in communication structure nor contents suggested in the literature. This can be explained by the participant ability to point in both single-user and dual-user gesturing tool conditions, either using a finger for the virtual pointer. These pointing techniques are very efficient and are probably enough to fulfill most of the needs when showing structure on a static surface. Nonetheless, as annotations were used mostly for clarification, we believe that the need to ensure there are no ambiguities might lead to the use of annotations instead of a pointer. In other words, the benefits of engaging with the annotation tool and slowing down movement to ensure accuracy might outweigh the benefit of simply pointing and adding further verbal clarification if need be. We wrap up this talk with direction for future work. The first direction is studying these techniques for different telemedicine usages. Expert-to-expert communication in surgery contains abundant codified vocabulary designed to precisely indicate structure and locations. For example, saying the breast tumor is on the 2 o'clock ray, 3.5 centimeters from the nipple. This established language is a linguistic resource that is always available and outform virtual tools. Therefore, it may be interesting to study communication between mentors and mentee to understand the benefits of this tool when the goal is apprenticeship rather than consulting. Second, having a participant as a remote expert. Having a confederate follow a script enables us to control the flow of communication and thus to observe behavior that is comparable. However, this choice may have constrained communication. Finally, we believe that interacting with displays on a head-mounted device rather than a wall-mounted device has impacts worthy on study. In particular, they eliminate the need of a clear line of sight when accessing displays, and thus potentially eliminate the reconfiguration of surgical teams they normally encompass. Moreover, head-mounted devices give only one person access to the display, thus they probably eliminate the consequential communication that comes with being aware that a person is observing the display. With this direction, I conclude this talk. On behalf of my colleague, thank you for your interest and please feel free to reach out to us if you have any question. Enjoy the conference.